Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sydology 101. I'm your host, Sydney Robinson, and I am crazy excited because today we have one of our FOA coaches, Kendall, on with us. And oh my goodness, it is going to be a good one. As you guys may know, she is one of our leadership, team culture, workflow systems and organization coaches here at FOA Coaching. And Kendall actually started with us about 8 months ago. Is it 8 or 6? I don't know. It feels like forever. I feel like I've known you forever.
Same, I do too.
She has been working with us and she's gone through all of the training. She has really drank the DS Kool-Aid where we have all of these amazing helpful tips and tricks and resources for all of our people. So this episode is going to be super fun because we're going to get to know Kendall, get to know some of her areas expertise, and talk about some of the trending things that we see when we do start working with office managers, team members. Kendall, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Again, thank you for taking time on this amazing Friday to be on this episode. And let's first start off with tell everyone about yourself. Who is Kendall?
I have been in the dental field for about 20 years. It was a totally unexpected career for me. I got into dentistry when I was in grad school for my master's in communication and business organization. And so I needed a job. I was working public relations and marketing at the time, and I needed a job that was fewer hours and just less stress while I was in school. I had been looking for a while. I couldn't find anything. I was still just working my butt off, working like 60-hour weeks and going to school. And I just, oh, and this job came along that I heard about through a friend who said the dentist that works by me is looking for somebody to come manage his office. He's brand new, startup. His wife had been doing everything for him for I think maybe the first couple months, but then she had some unexpected health things that came up. And it was like all of a sudden he didn't have any help. And so I went and I interviewed with them and I ended up knowing them through the grapevine just of the small town I live in. And they hired me and I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about dentistry. I'm very lucky that I started with somebody who was just a really patient, great leader who took time to explain things to me and educate me. And I just think because of that, because of his patience and his leadership, I really fell in love with the dental world and being in a dental office and just getting to know all the patients and everything that goes along with that. Once I got my master's, my plan was to be done, and my boss at the time knew that. But when I got out of grad school, I the purpose was to go teach, and I did get a job teaching, but I was able to do both. So he just worked around my teaching schedule, and I came and went as I needed, but was able to do both for quite a while. That's how I came into dentistry. Came from a public relations and marketing background. That's what I thought for sure I wanted to stick with forever. But the best laid plans never work out the way you want them to. I didn't like that world. So I got into this.
Awesome. I love that. And you know something, everybody that's listening, I actually did not know you came from, maybe I did know, and shame on me, but public relations and marketing. We were talking about something and you go, yeah, I have a background. I go, wait, what?
Yeah. Yes. And it's useful at times. It's useful for things, but I'm glad it's not what I do all the time.
Yeah. I think a lot of us can relate when it comes to we had all of these plans. I joke in the last lecture that I gave, and I was like, who actually said, outside of maybe even being a dentist, when I grow up, I'm going to be an office manager at a dental office.
Yes.
I'm going to be a treatment coordinator. Like, that is not what we all kind of plan, and I feel like a lot of people that we do meet and that we interview on the show is stumbled into this, and now here we are years later, and it's our lives now, so I really feel like there's a lot of people that can relate to that. You mentioned something that was really valuable, and I share that same experience with not having that a lot of experience in dentistry itself, but having a leader who actually wanted to mentor you, who put time into helping you grow in that position. Tell us a little bit more about that. What was some things that you found that was challenging? And then how did you foster that mentorship? Who initiated that?
Gosh, there were so many fails I had at the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like he had to. He was like, "Oh man, this is a lost cause. Let me help this poor girl." But truly, the dentist that I worked for, he was just a natural leader. He was a football player, so also something unorthodox, but he was a quarterback of the college team where I live, and they won 2 back-to-back championships. So he was just a natural leader and, like I said, very patient. And so I think my natural way to be is to be inquisitive and to ask questions when I don't understand things. Pair that with just how patient he was and how he wanted me to learn. I think it was a mutual thing where we were a startup, so there were times where we didn't have patients in the office right at the beginning. And so when I would think of things, I just like walk myself back to his office and be like, okay, can you explain this? Because I don't understand it. And so then it became like a set thing where we set aside an hour a week just for me to get questions answered and for him to explain things that maybe he noticed that I wasn't catching on to. And it really, that just fostered a great relationship from the beginning that I had with him. And then his wife also has become like one of my besties too. So that's great. But just fostered a great working relationship between he and I.
Nice. I love that you felt comfortable and safe to be able to go back and say, okay, I don't understand this. I know mine was a bit opposite. That was actually one of my vulnerabilities. I didn't want people to think that I didn't know something. For a long time when I first started out, that was really difficult for me to actually come out and say is, I don't know. My thing was, I may not know, and I don't want you to know that I don't know, but I will go find out.
Sure.
And so that felt really good, and I know that was one of my fails that I feel like I learned from as I started to grow in my position is it's okay to say that you don't know, and there's a respectful way of going in and saying, "Okay, I'm not really understanding this. Can you walk me through it, or can you tell me more of how you understand it?" And so I love that you guys had that relationship where you could go to your doctor and you can actually say those things. You felt comfortable and safe. A lot of people that we talk to, and you do a lot of our coaching calls, I find that is a challenge for a lot of people.
Yes. Yes, I agree. And there's like an intimidation factor with kind of the big bad doctor, which none of them are.
Yeah.
But I think that there's like a wall between
Mhm.
front and back and being like, I can't go ask him. You
Yeah.
should.
Yeah. Yeah, just say, "Hey, what's up with this?"
Yes.
I find that super fascinating, and I know that one of the things that you said that you wanted to go into is more of that, like, communication, behavioral science, understanding people. You really wanted to teach. And so now that you transition, you have graduated college, you had all these plans for yourself, but somehow you went right back to dentistry. How did you apply what you've learned when it comes to communication, having a healthy culture in your practice? You and your doctor has a great relationship. How did you get your team members to rally behind you guys and have that same relationship?
For one, we were super lucky because the entire time we hit the jackpot with employees. So I think we only had one change for the first 5 years. And so that speaks for the leadership in the practice and just how great of a culture it was from the get-go. I started with this doctor and he already had a vision statement. He already had core values established that really worked. And so what we tried to do when we did have to make that first new hire, it was a hygienist, we were able to take those core values and I was able to take my education and everything I know about people and communicating with people and really base our interview off of what our core values are and who do we think is going to fit within this culture best. And I remember this lady, she came and brought her resume in, and I didn't even look at her resume, but I just struck up a conversation with her.
Yeah.
And she was just in town. They were moving to town, but they were just looking for houses at the time. So she was in town temporarily, but she brought in her resume and I just loved her. You know how you just click with someone?
Yep.
And so she brought me a resume and I took it back to the doctor and I said, this is who we need to hire. I think this is the person. And she ended up being the person we hired. He said, why? And I said, I just love how she was just normal. Like she came in, we had a great conversation. She asked me questions about like where I got my hair done and good places to go with kids and things like that. And I just loved her. And so
Yeah.
I think part of it is a natural personality trait where like you can just get a feel for a person, but also my education in communication and understanding kind of where people are coming from helps to kind of I don't know, help that process along. And so I we were just super lucky too because we had a great staff who everybody bought into the culture and everybody bought in, and it was just like, I want to say easy
Mhm.
because it was a place I loved going every day, which is why I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, yeah, apparently, 'cause you like, "Okay, my dream is to go teach, but hey, I have this really great opportunity, and why leave something that's going great," right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
not everyone is so lucky.
Yeah.
Not everyone that we talk to, especially in our office manager mastermind group, that's one of the top challenges that a lot of our office managers and or team leads have is rallying the team behind the office manager and or doctor. And hey, how do we get everybody? I bought into this. I know that this doctor is a great person. I know that they have the office, they have our best interests in heart. It's not all about the money, but my team see them. And I love that you reference like big scary guy or this really no nonsense female doctor. They see that and they just, "Okay, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum," or, "I'm afraid to say I don't know," or, "I'm afraid to go to this person to do these things because it's that intimidation." But in actuality, they're a big teddy bear or, "Hey, you know what? I'm a softie." When we get to know each other on a different level, people find out that, "Oh, wait, she's not so bad," but that's just because, like you said, we had a conversation and they see me as a normal person. I go get my hair done. I actually love to have cocktails too. I read fun books as well. Like we actually are getting to know people more on a personal level and we're normal. We bleed the same. We all sometimes have the same challenges at home with our kids are running around or our dogs are out there doing all kind of wild things at the dog park or something like that. It's like we're normal people in one of our calls, that's actually what someone said. "Oh, we walk around the office and there's this big burly dude." In actuality, they're a softie.
Yes. And I think sometimes with that perception, it takes getting out of the office, getting your whole
Mhm,
team out of the office to do something that's totally not related to dentistry. Some examples I've seen are like axe throwing, or I always think going to a ropes course, whether it be like the high, scary ones or just even the low ones to the ground. I feel like things that innately build trust
mhm.
and helps you view somebody in a totally different light. I think those are the types of things people need to make time for in their day, in their practice, in order to build that camaraderie and build that team that they ultimately want at the end.
Yeah, that's a really great point as far as trying to humanize everyone in the workplace, right? And not seeing them as, well, that's my leader, that's my manager. That's my one that makes me cringe is when they're like, "Oh yeah, you're my supervisor." I'm no one's supervisor, okay? I am a human being and I work here the same way. I collect a check the same way you do. Now,
Yes.
on an executive level, absolutely, but I am nobody's supervisor, okay? I am not gonna supervise anything. It is you to work independent. You are going to influence. You're gonna grow in your position, and I'm gonna mentor you in that position. And I
Yes.
never forget that I had that reaction when someone on our team called me that, and I was like, "Ew, what?" It just reminds me of 1976. You're in this warehouse and you have coal all over you and you got your like, I just my mind went right, like, to the 1950s, and I'm a warden in, like, a warehouse somewhere, and I'm just, "Hey, get back to work."
Yes.
That's where my mind went. I'm like, "No, that is not who
Yes.
I am." But that's how they see us, and I want you to see me as a human being that sometimes words hurt my feelings. Sometimes my dog may have gotten out of the gate and I gotta go chase them down the same way that you may have. And so I love that you said doing something completely outside of dentistry. You'll be surprised at how some of them it's, "Oh, we all went to lunch." Okay, but then did you click up? And I sat next to my work bestie, and me and my work bestie had margaritas, and we had a grand old time? Or did I
Yes.
get to know Kendall on the opposite end, who where Kendall is, like, really reserved into books, or maybe Kendall is outgoing too, and maybe I didn't know her and I like the same things. Did you really get to know Kendall on a completely different level, or is it just you and your work bestie?
Yes.
And you'll be surprised at how many people actually they think that's a team building or like what you said, axe throwing, for example. I would put everyone's name in a basket Instead of us just going to axe throwing, we're going to go to axe throwing, but we're going to break up into groups and we're going to gamify our axe throwing experience. And then I'm going to make everybody who I try to mix it up. You pick your teammate, and now that forces you to get to know someone else, work
Yes.
closely with someone else. So it's not just, I'm going to take everybody out bowling. Okay, let's make this fun. Let's break up to groups. How can we get to know each other? Or while you're doing axe throwing, have some fun games. So if you do something like that, go also take it a step further and force people to get to know, have conversation with someone that they probably haven't had a conversation with.
Yes, absolutely.
You've had this amazing experience working with this awesome doctor. What led you to transition from working in the practice and now you're doing consulting, your mentor, your coach now? What was that transition like and why did you go into coaching?
Yeah. So I left his practice full time when my husband and I started a business. My husband is an agriculture pilot, and we started a business, and I ran that business for us, which was fun. And my husband and I actually worked really well together, surprisingly. But I still just didn't feel like this is what I should be doing. So I came back to the practice, was working part time, but I don't know. There was just something that wasn't there anymore.
Mhm.
And so I ultimately married my two loves of dentistry and the communication aspect of everything that I thought I was going to go into for my whole future. So I started a consulting business. I had a business partner and we did that together just locally here. We were very small, very boutique kind of consulting or coaching, however you want to put it. We had the same kind of philosophy of not wanting to come in and be this like scary consultant and wanted to really just help. We wanted to support and help the teams we worked with. And so I was really lucky. We got to do that for about 5 years. And my business partner just had something kind of life changing come up and had to pivot in her life, and I didn't want to do it alone. And so I was like, okay, what's next? And really it was like by chance that I happened upon Ashley with DSN, and she guided me to you. And so that's how I got here.
Now that you're working with more offices, and especially even in your area, what was some and let's stick to communication because communication is one of the top challenges just in any dental practice. Whether you have a healthy culture or you have baller systems, communication is always something that we have to practice and is a continuous challenge no matter your growth and where you are in the practice. What are
Yeah.
some trending communication challenges that you see when you're working and mentoring offices?
There's two that I feel like are big trends, and still like working with the offices that I'm working with today is the morning huddle and the handoff situation.
Yeah.
Because it seems like offices think, okay, we're going to meet about this one time. We're going
Mhm.
to get it down perfect and it's never going to go bad again.
Yeah.
And what I've found is when you don't revisit those two topics, the morning huddle and the handoff, at least quarterly, if
Mhm.
not more,
Yeah.
everything goes down the drain and you fall back into the same habits that you had in the beginning, and it's
Mhm.
never going to stay consistent. And scheduling an actual meeting about the communication breakdown between morning huddle and handoffs, I feel like those two trends with communication are so big, and offices needing to actually schedule a time to review what's happening and to modify and change things if they need to.
Yeah. My goodness. When I get on a call, especially like an onboarding call with one of our leaders, and I go, okay, tell me about your cadences. What are your meeting schedules? And we only have a team meeting once a month. Okay. Do you do morning huddles? That's technically a meeting. No, we just find that they weren't really valuable.
Yep.
And then as we start to go into more questions, okay, tell me about the office. Are you finding that you're seeing a lot of holes in the schedule or miscommunications between team members? And if so, give me an example. And then they go into the example of we're finding that some of our patients, they'll get back in the back and they don't have a signed treatment plan, or they don't have their consent form ready, or what's in the computer isn't scheduled correctly. And then I'm able to get them to come to the realization that if you were to have a morning huddle, and you're able to go through your day and say, okay, Kendall, she is coming in at 8 o'clock. She is missing her perio chart. So today, Sydney, can you go in and can you perio chart so that when we do submit the SRP, the insurance claim, whatever the case may be? Yeah, but then no one wants to show up on time. Okay, gotcha. So it sounds like that could help. It's just now you don't know how or want to hold your team members accountable for that, right? And I
Yes.
love it when they like that light bulb go off in their minds and are like, "Oh, that's the
Yep.
importance of it," right?
Yes. The morning huddle can fix so many issues if you just are consistent and have it every day.
Yeah, yeah, same thing with the handoffs. We had another office that we were working with, and it was like, "We don't need a handoff, we just write it on the route slip." And I go, "Great, I love route slips, I'm all about it. I will always support a route slip because I feel like that is, like, your next line of defense." And then I asked, "So when you are checking your patient out, on your route slip, does it tell you whether or not that patient is scheduled for the next visit?" It tells us if they're scheduled for recare, but it doesn't tell us whether or not they have their next treatment. We don't know, so we have to go in and look. And I
Yes.
said, "Okay, great." And I said, "Has there ever been a time where you had to get up from your desk and go ask the hygienist or your assistant a question about what procedure was done or what's next?" Yeah, all the time. They never tell us
Yep.
whether or not the patient may say, "Hey, they told us about whitening. No one ever told us about whitening. Now I got to go find out if we need to give them whitening trays." I said, "Wouldn't it be helpful or would it be helpful if you had a handoff that said, 'Hey, Kendall was seen today. We got everything that was planned was done. I do have her next visit scheduled, and I told her that at her next visit, I'll give her those whitening trays.'" And she goes,
Yes.
"Yeah, but," and I go, "What? Nope, no buts."
Yes.
It's like a light bulb that went off, and you'll be surprised at how I know we have some really rock star offices out there that are listening, but you know that that is super huge when it comes to communication, and I think that "Oh, we communicate really well." What's your definition of communicating really well? And I always like to ask that question when I'm talking to offices. What are some things that you see a lot of offices that do great when it comes to having a healthy culture and things that they have really adopted so that they can decrease stress in the practice?
I think for one, everybody being on the same page as far as goals is a huge one. Everybody being aware of what the goals are, the practice goals are, everybody knowing what the core values are and what their vision statement is, and really contributing to that, really putting that into real life and showing that's what they stand for. I have seen offices who have one in particular, and this isn't a success, this is a failure, but
Oh,
it's such a big deal when their vision statement says, "We believe in giving back to the community," and then they don't go do anything to give back to the community. I'm like,
yes.
it's fine if you're not doing it, but don't have that in your vision statement because it doesn't work.
Right.
And I think really just having the right team who really live those practice core values, not only at work, but also if that's the kind of people they are. And if you're lucky, that's what you get on your team is the people who show up with those core values already and can put them into play.
Yeah, we actually just had our team meeting this morning, and each team meeting that we have, it's monthly or bi-monthly. We try to definitely make sure we have those team meetings. And I know it's boring, and I even feel like it's boring, but the first two slides, I go over our mission, vision, I go over our ethos, and then I go over those core values that we stand for. And then I ask the question, do you feel in the last 30 days that you have practiced our core values? And I always start off first. And today I was like, you know what, self-awareness, I feel like I haven't really paid attention to that a lot. I've been actually so caught up in myself that I haven't really looked at things around me. And I feel like I need to get back to that. And it's
Yes.
being vulnerable or And it's okay to say, you know what? Actually, I've been working really hard since last month. I said I wanted to focus more on being aware of my team members around me and our members and being able to read a room. And I really worked hard on that. And I'm really excited that now I feel really good that I've been practicing all of our core values. So it's not
Yes.
just about understanding those core values or mission or vision, it's actually, are you practicing it? And
Yes.
it's okay, everybody. It is okay to say, "Nope, I actually haven't, but you know what? Let me get back on track of where we need to be as a company."
Yes.
And if you haven't
Absolutely.
done any outreach, then put that in your next agenda. Let's do an outreach. Let's do a free Veterans Day or free dental day or something like that. Easter is here. Let's do something for the kids. If you really want to do those things, get out of the day to day. You don't have to work, oh my God, Monday through Friday. I got to see all the patients. I can't close the office down. Are you filling your bucket? You just working? You just doing those fillings?
Right.
Those implants? You just placing those implants and nothing?
And that's the other thing, this idea of team culture is when you do get out of the day to day and really do something that everybody believes in, it strengthens that team so much. So it might be an afternoon out of the office where you're not seeing patients and quote unquote don't have the production,
Mhm.
but that's worth it in the end because you're going to have that buy-in from your team and you're going to have a stronger practice from that one afternoon
Yeah.
per quarter or whatever you choose to do.
Yeah. That goes back to I always say, at what cost?
Yes.
Hey, we're making production. We're doing great on collections, but at what cost? Are you losing team members? You can't keep someone more than a year, you probably need to take a step back and look at some of those foundational principles because there could be something that's missing there. And maybe it's because, you know what, I am working my 2D off at this office. And I'm sorry, but a pizza party on Fridays because we made a goal does not fill my bucket. I came to this office because you said that you believe in this, you believe in that, you believe in unity. But guess what? Every single time that I go and ask Sydney, "Can she help me walk my patient back?" She's, "No, sucks to be you."
Yep.
So and that sometimes we gotta go back and we have to revisit those things, and we have to humanize each individual. We have to make those personal connections. We have to take a step back and practice those core values and be okay to say, "You know what? I haven't practiced those. So what can we do this quarter so that we can ensure that we're practicing essentially what we're preaching?"
I know. And having that humility, I think, because it is hard. It's hard to admit when, oh my gosh, I have sucked at this. This is not something I've been good at the last month.
Yeah.
But having that humility and just the self-awareness to be able to say that and for it to be a safe place to be able to admit that with your team members. Those are 2 huge things.
I think that this is like super helpful, especially for those leaders out there. If you're trying to figure out, okay, one of these things that the ladies mentioned today is something that really hit home for me. And I feel like there's always one thing that we can take away and we can say, you know what, this is something that I can do. Whatever that one thing that really spoke to your soul, go out and find, okay, how can I improve this in my practice? Whether you are a practice lead or office manager or the practice owner, or a team member. I always tell team members, you do not have to wait for your leaders in the practice to take initiative, to feel empowered. You can empower yourself in your position. If your team isn't doing this, go to your office manager, go to your doc and say, "Hey, I know one of our core values is giving back to the community. I was on the Boys and Girls Club, or I was on this, and I saw that they could really use some help, or the local football team is doing a car wash, and I figure we can help sponsors. That's something that we could do so that we can show patients that we want to give back, and maybe we can post it on social." You don't always have to wait for your leaders to have those type of ideas. If that's what fills your bucket, then go for it.
Yes,
Initiative.
absolutely. And that's the thing, it shows initiative,
Yeah.
and it's like you are practicing those core values, you are putting them into play, and it's such a big deal.
Kendall, this was a really great episode, and everybody, she's going to be back on way more because I really want to do a segment where we just have some cocktails and we just talk about all the chaos that happens in the dental practice. And
Yes.
let's pivot a bit. We're giving all these helpful tips and tricks, but let's talk about all the BS, all of the chaos, and all the things that we see so everybody knows that, hey, we're not perfect. We see these things too. And guess what? You are not alone.
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful, and a cocktail sounds even better.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you are looking for more helpful resources to help improve your communication, or if you are a practice leader and you feel like you are alone on this island and no one else is there to help support you, please feel free to visit foacoaching.com and fill out a contact us form. Join our group, join our office manager Facebook group where we can bounce ideas off of each other. So, thank you all for tuning in, and until next time.